A plane collides with a mountain. 72 days later, the unthinkable happens. These haunting words encapsulate one of the most harrowing survival stories in modern history. On October 13, 1972, Eurogaia Air Force Flight 571 was carrying a group of young, vibrant rugby players from Montevideo, Uruguay to Santiago, Chile. Their journey was meant to be an exciting adventure, but it turned into a fight for survival that would capture the world's attention and challenge the boundaries of human endurance. This is the story of 40 passengers and 5 crew members, of unimaginable tragedy, camaraderie, and the will to live. What happened in the unforgiving Andes Mountains would forever be etched in the annals of survival tales. It all began on October 12th, 1972, a crisp autumn day in Uruguay. Flight 571 departed from Montevideo, its destination Santiago, Chile. Among the passengers was a local rugby team excited for an international match. Young athletes, full of life, accompanied by their families and friends. However, the journey quickly became complicated. As the plane approached the Andes Mountains, weather conditions deteriorated. Clouds engulfed the jagged peaks, forcing the crew to make an overnight stop in Mendoza, Argentina. The Andes, with their towering snow-capped ranges, presented a formidable obstacle. The plan was to navigate around them the next day, but fate had other plans. By October 13th, the skies were thick with dense clouds, making visibility nearly impossible. As the plane attempted to cross the Andes, a critical error in navigation sealed its fate. The pilots, relying on dead reckoning, miscalculated their position. Believing they had cleared the mountain range, they began their descent. Tragically, the descent came too early. At 3:34 p.m., the plane struck a mountain peak. The impact tore the tail section away, scattering passengers and luggage across the icy slopes. Pieces of the fuselage crumbled as the plane slid down the rugged terrain. And when the chaos settled, 33 passengers had survived the initial crash. They were left stranded in one of the harshest environments imaginable, a frozen wasteland at over 11,000 feet above sea level. Supplies were scarce, temperatures plunged below freezing at night, and the reality of their isolation began to set in. Their ordeal had only just begun. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, the survivors faced an environment that was as hostile as it was unforgiving. With temperatures plunging to minus 30 degrees Celsius at night, the freezing cold gnawed at their already fragile bodies. Many of the survivors were injured, some critically, and they had only the plane's wreckage for shelter. Food supplies were pitifully scarce, consisting of a few chocolates, packets of jam, and some dried fruits. Rationing these meager resources was crucial, but it quickly became apparent they wouldn't last long. During the first week, the group held on to hope that rescue teams would arrive. They created makeshift signals on the snow-covered ground and waited anxiously for planes to spot them. But the dense cloud cover and remote location made them nearly invisible. The harshest blow came when news filtered through their portable radio. The search for survivors had been called off. The announcement shattered their spirits. Starvation became an inescapable reality. Weak and desperate, the survivors were forced to make an unthinkable decision: to consume the bodies of their deceased friends. It was not a choice made lightly, but one born out of sheer necessity. They justified their actions with the belief that their fallen companions would have wanted them to survive at all costs. Just as they began to adapt to their grim new normal, another tragedy struck. On the 17th day, an avalanche swept through their makeshift shelter, burying them under tons of snow. 9 lives were lost in this second calamity, reducing the group to just 19 survivors. The avalanche reinforced the cruel indifference of their environment, testing their endurance to its breaking point. With hope of an external rescue fading, the survivors knew they had to take matters into their own hands. They devised a bold plan. A few of them would attempt to hike through the treacherous mountains to find help. Nando Parrado, Roberto Canessa, and Antonio Vizintin volunteered for the perilous journey, although Vizintin would later return to the camp to conserve food for the others. The 2 remaining hikers, Parrado and Canessa, faced grueling conditions. With no proper gear and minimal sustenance, they trekked over 61 kilometers, 38 miles, in temperatures that plunged far below freezing. For 10 days, they battled altitude sickness, exhaustion, and hunger as they navigated the snow-covered peaks and valleys. Finally, on December 20th, 1972, their perseverance paid off. They encountered a Chilean shepherd, Sergio Catalan, on the other side of the mountains. Unable to understand their language, Catalan took their written note to authorities. The message read, "I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. I am Uruguayan. We have been walking for 10 days. I have a friend injured up there. In the plane, there are still 14 injured people. We need help." The world would soon learn of their ordeal, sparking a massive rescue operation. What began as a tragic accident in the Andes ended as a story of extraordinary human resilience and survival. Once Parrado and Canessa's note reached authorities, a rescue mission was launched with incredible urgency. On December 22nd, helicopters departed to locate the crash site, guided by the survivors' descriptions and Parrado himself. Due to the harsh terrain, the rescue operation required careful planning and coordination. When the helicopters finally reached the wreckage on December 23, 1972, the remaining survivors, emaciated but alive, were airlifted to safety. 72 harrowing days had passed since the crash. The survivors' astonishing story of endurance and resourcefulness immediately captivated the world. Media outlets heralded their survival as nothing short of miraculous. However, the revelation of the extreme measures they had taken to stay alive sparked both awe and controversy. The survivors of Flight 571 shared an unbreakable bond forged through unimaginable hardship. Their mental resilience and unity had been the bedrock of their survival. Yet, reintegration into society was not without challenges. Many struggled to cope with the public's fascination and, in some cases, judgment about their decisions in the Andes. Over time, they found solace in each other and in sharing their story as a testament to human strength and solidarity. The tragedy also left a significant mark on aviation safety. It underscored the importance of accurate navigation, enhanced communication systems, and more effective search and rescue operations in mountainous regions. More broadly, the story of Flight 571 became a symbol of the resilience of the human spirit. It showcased humanity's ability to adapt, endure, and triumph in the face of overwhelming odds. The story of Uruguaya Air Force Flight 571 remains one of the most remarkable tales of survival in modern history. Against all odds, a group of ordinary people overcame extraordinary circumstances. Their journey forces us to confront profound questions about the limits of human endurance and the will to live. As we reflect on their ordeal, we are left with a question that lingers long after the story ends. How far would you go to survive?